Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast. All our episodes are on WhoKnewPodcast.com. You can leave comments there, or email us at WhoKnewPodcast@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram and Twitter account. Tweet at us at WhoKnewPodcast, and find us on Facebook. So today we're taking a quick trip in the TARDIS with these two shorts, The Last Day and The Night of the Doctor, which both tie into the 50th anniversary Day of the Doctor. First up is The Last Day.
So we're going to do the two shorts, The Night of the Doctor and Last Day, the dates that they were released. But let's go to Last Day first, since the subject matter, what was in there, well, that's even...
It'll be a quicker conversation.
That's it.
This short, The Last Day, is written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Jamie Stone. It originally aired on the 21st of November, 2013. Hi, this is Eugene. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, this is Frank.
Hi, it's Heather.
Hi, this is Brian.
Josh here.
And Kelsey.
Hello, this is Auburn.
The static clears and we see a man in Gallifrean uniform, telling us not to speak and we will feel better soon. He explains that our brain is now a hard drive recording everything we see and hear. Sometimes this can cause side effects. Static! A man screams at us while explosions go off around. Static! These are not premonitions, he says. They are just side effects. The man introduces us to the commander who starts the big introductory speech. He tells us about the 400 sky trenches guarding Arcadia, the city where they are stationed and the safest place on Gallifrey. Nothing can get past these trenches. A burst of static and we are at the scanners searching the skies above Arcadia. The soldier tells us that if even one Dalek got through, it could destroy the entire city. A tiny speck appears on the scanner. Enlarging the image, we see a Dalek. The soldier can't believe it and sounds the alarm. The first Dalek is followed by an entire army. One of the Daleks takes aim at us, fires, and static fills the screen.
I like the way that this is shot. It reminds me of when RoboCop is, when Murphy's put online. It's just that kind of grid with the MS-DOS sort of thing going on. So I thought this was smart for a short.
Kind of like a found footage thing.
Yeah.
I like it, I just don't understand.
Thank
Are they like
you.
cyborg? What's happening?
No, there's soldiers that have been, they put like a memory chip in their heads so that like on their death, their like memories can be sent to their families. But
It's
don't
the
worry,
ultimate body cam.
anything too like scary will be like edited out or something. That's what I got.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, they do say that, but
Okay.
it also is kind of like, I'm sorry, what?
There's
Also,
a lot that is inferred.
Yes.
By the time I started to understand what they were talking about, it was on to something else I didn't quite understand. And it wasn't until I was thinking back on it and you guys were talking just now and you were reading that paragraph where I'm like, okay, right.
Yeah.
I definitely felt like I was coming in the middle of something, not the beginning of this thing. But also, too, because this is a Doctor Who short, I don't really see I think it was very interesting now looking at it from hindsight, but I don't really find a purpose in it.
Me
I
neither.
just feel
Exactly.
like this is the moment when during the Time War where the Daleks invaded Gallifrey. And wouldn't it be cool to see that moment? Sure, but it doesn't tell us anything more than that happened.
It shows us the hubris of the Time Lords.
That's what I was going to say.
Like we have these trenches, like 1 is hard, 2
Nothing
is
can get through.
impossible,
Right.
400, and yet, yeah, like
they make it through.
yeah. I don't think they did it well. I don't think it works as a great short film.
Yeah.
But I think that's
Even
what the
if-
purpose of it was.
Yeah, even a film about someone answering the telephone. If someone's sitting on the couch, the phone rings. You are then going to say, oh, how are they going to go answer that phone? And who's it going to be? Oh, it's John. The end. Like that at least has some progression. This was like someone's sitting on the couch and the phone rings. And then they go, I'm going to go answer that phone. The end.
Yeah, I take it the way Alburn put it, especially watching this and The Night of the Doctor together. It's going to be more.
Yes.
It's going to be more expanded upon in The Night of the Doctor. But now that there are two, well, it's the Daleks and the Time Lords going to battle each other, and you see why it's taking its toll on the universe, because the Time Lords aren't necessarily the good guys.
Right. It's an itch. This would have been a really cool thing to see in an episode. Like they came across this recording.
Yeah.
I'm going back to my first point where I'm still just, all I can think about is, wait, there's a memory chip and weird things are flashing in front of his eyes. Like
Right.
that's where my concentration was. I wasn't even thinking about like
Right. What is
hubris of the
and then
Time
why-
Lords. I was like, what the hell? What?
And why would you pick someone who just woke up from a procedure and is still a little delusional and put them on the front lines of defense?
Because you're desperate.
Well, they didn't think it was the front lines, clearly.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
That's the introductory
Still.
speech to the new guy.
Yeah.
Just because this is a little supplementary thing to Day of the Doctor. So in Day of the Doctor, we see what happens to Arcadia, and they mention the sky trenches. So this whole thing is just like a little fanboy service supplementary thing. This one just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't to be analyzed at all. It's like we should not be talking about this. But
yet here we are.
Here we are. So I thought it was odd that they are turning Gallifreyans into Cybermen.
Yeah.
Because when you looked in the mirror, it
Yeah.
looked like a robotic face, a mask.
Yeah, but the thing about the
I
side
think the
effects
side
were
effects
they
were
said this,
real.
he said yes, that's the thing. He was lying to the recruit. He was saying these aren't premonitions, they're just side effects. He was lying, saying, yeah, they are
real
premonitions. And when he says it's not real what you looked at, yeah, it was real.
Wait, how do you know he's lying?
That's
that's
how
what they
I
would
took
do.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it looked like it was the same. It looked like it was the same person screaming in the helmet who was telling him this is an illusion.
Yeah, it was.
It was the same actor. So it seemed like, no, you're about to die, because we all see it towards the end that you are going to die. So that's where I got it, that is what he's telling him. It's not. It's the whole Brave New World. It's the whole,
He just doesn't want the guy to
storyteller
freak
of
out
all
before he
those-
can fight.
Right. I wanted to ask. I assumed that too, but I wanted to ask in case I missed the moment where he was like.
But I kind of presumed that all the soldiers went through this, including the one who was talking.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I got it that they're reanimating people.
Oh, I
He
didn't
was
get
already
that at
I think
all.
the
shot
point.
and
I think
hurt,
the,
and now they're putting him on the lower levels
Yeah.
to do the defense, because he can't be in the front level at this point.
I think the whole point of the whole point of this short was to say how desperate the Gallifreyans were at the end of the Time War, and they were just doing anything they possibly could at that point. It was that desperate, and it doesn't come across that way at all.
Yeah, because again, tying this with Night of the Doctor doesn't want to fight because he can see how bad things are going as far as fighting the war, winning the war, and what it takes to sustain going to war.
Yeah. Plus everything else we know about the Time War, where at the end, the Time Lords were going to blow up the universe just like the Daleks were. And then the stuff that we find out during Day of the Doctor about how Gallifrey gets blown up. It's just like it's supposed to be like a little piece that just kind of slots in, and it just doesn't work.
And it's also one of those things though, like they can't, it's like doing this little, like writing for these webisodes, I think is probably very challenging because you have to make it so that people who didn't see them, like I missed a lot of these webisodes when Doctor Who initially was airing, and I don't feel like I missed out on anything. So
Right.
you've got to also like make sure that it's not,
Critical?
I think you guys get what I'm saying. Critical, yeah. It's not critical that you have to watch it to be able to understand the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fanboy thing.
And the
It's
reason
a
we're doing
diehard
this,
thing. These are all diehards.
yeah, and the reason we're doing this is because we have a podcast.
Are you implying that makes us diehards?
Yes.
Because you're right.
No, I think it's definitely stated that way, Heather. He was stating it.
Come on, normal people do Doctor Who podcasts too.
Was it just these two shorts together for the 50th?
Yeah.
for-
Yeah, on the DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, the home release, they have these two on this disc by itself.
Yeah, so this one I think was just something to do. It didn't seem like it had a real essence to it of why it was there. It was like, we're just putting out something even shorter than our usual shorts. This is nice, something to just
to
give a little
Like a
taste
teaser
of
trailer.
the war.
It's 2 days before you see the actual 50th special. Here's
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hype. It's hype. It's to
It's
get
hype.
you hyped up.
Right.
Which is like, I think if I would have seen this waiting
It
for the
would've.
50th, I would have gotten very excited.
Yes.
Because, you know, since 2005, we've been hearing about this time war. And now, and I don't know, I give them props for trying to like think outside the box and give us like this POV experience. For your front row of like the Dalek invasion. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's fun.
I like it. It just could have used a couple extra pieces of information to make us
agree.
understand. Because
Yeah.
I mean, this show does that a lot. We talk about it on our show, but like my brain was thinking about something else, so it could really only take in what was happening so much because you just told me to think about something, and now you're talking about something else. So just a little bit more of something in the intro, so we could follow along rather than try to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely
In the
spent
span
the
of
whole thing catching up.
4 minutes. Yeah.
At first, I was like, "Is this a Cyberman thing? What's going on?"
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Josh, by the time I kind of started understanding something, it was the next thing was happening, and then it was over. I was like, so I guess I should have watched it twice.
It was pretty disturbing, though. I will say that.
It was scary.
I mean,
Just for our viewers at home, when Heather said, I think we should watch it, or I should have watched it twice, everyone shook their heads no.
oh, I was gonna say you can watch it twice while we're recording this, and it'll be fine. The one thing that I do, or I'm gonna bring up some stuff I do like. The soldier's red armor and the round helmet design is very reminiscent of the Deadly Assassin when we did that classic episode with Tom Baker.
Mm-hmm.
I just like that they made it look modern and better because they have better materials to fabricate those costume pieces, and I think it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Was that
And I
actor?
did like seeing a soldier, a Gallifreyan soldier, as opposed to when I usually see Gallifreyans, where we're seeing like the people in charge.
The big head pieces.
Yeah, so the costuming was different enough where I didn't even know, like, I didn't know who this was until they said something that was like, oh, they're Gallifreyan, got it.
Even for
And
me,
they're
Eugene,
soldiers.
you liked that, but if they had just worn what I was used to them seeing, I wouldn't have spent half this video trying to figure out if this was Cybermen or not. Like,
Yeah.
But how do you
Well,
fight a war?
they had like sigils that had like Time Lord Gallifreyan stuff, but it was all monochromatic, so it was a little hard to see.
That's
Eugene
it.
It was a
liked
nice
though.
costume.
That's it.
Oh.
We'll see the costumes again. Those ones.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
And so this cast is really short. It's Barry Aird, who plays the veteran that gives the speech, and then Chris Finch, who is the time soldier, and we will definitely see him again.
Okay, probably going to regret what I'm about to say. I have no idea when.
When
No more?
when the doctor gets the rifle, that's him.
That's the same guy?
Yep.
No clue. No clue. Gosh, I guess I'm just a newbie. Wow.
Did you
Get
try
off this
Whisper?
podcast.
There's the door.
Wow, that actually makes me like that scene more.
Yeah, that's why I'm coming at it from a different
Mm.
perspective.
It's just seriously, it's like I never even want to put that together. Wow, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yay, something new.
So I guess we will leave that in.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. All right. So moving to the Night of the Doctor. Night of the Doctor is written by Stephen Moffat, directed by John Hayes, and it originally aired on the 14th of November, 2013.
The 14th of November?
14th of November, later, or earlier.
Earlier. No.
Earlier.
A lot
Yes.
earlier than that.
So
Because I think, I don't know, this is all speculation, that they did the little one, which was, the Night of the Doctor first. And then they wanted just a small little tag before they went into the show.
Yes.
So they added one that's even shorter, just a 3-minute,
Yeah.
just a little something to keep people.
The Night of the Doctor blew everybody's mind. Night of the Doctor blew
This is the
everybody's
Doctor.
mind.
He goes all around. He doesn't like sitting around as time progresses normally.
They kept the surprise with Night of the Doctor, and everybody just went nuts. So
Yeah.
it really did create a lot of hype for the show, whereas Last Day wouldn't. That was just a little tidbit for diehards.
A severely damaged ship is flying out of control toward a planet. The pilot calls out, "Can anyone help me?" And the computer responds with, "Please state the nature of your ailment or injury." She tells the computer that she doesn't need a doctor. A man behind her says, "I'm a doctor, just probably not the one you were expecting." The pilot, named Cass, explains that the rest of the crew have teleported away. The doctor takes Cass toward the back of the ship to his TARDIS. When he says that it's bigger on the inside, Cass realizes that he is a Time Lord and locks herself on the other side of the door to protect herself from him. The doctor says he isn't part of the Time War. She says that he is as bad as a Dalek, and the best news she's had all day is that he'll die in the crash. The ship blows up as it crashes into the surface. An old woman sees the crash and tells the others that the doctor has returned to Karn, but it's a pity that he's dead.
Soon after, the doctor awaits calling for Cass. Ohila, the old woman, says his companion is almost certainly dead. Explaining that the doctor is also dead, she says that they restored him temporarily. The doctor recognizes them as the Sisterhood of Karn. Their elixir of eternal life can trigger his regeneration, but it's not random. He can choose what he wishes to become, man or woman, young or old. They do this because he is their last hope, and he cannot ignore the Time War forever. The doctor says he will not fight. He is the doctor. The Sisterhood brings in Cass's body, and the doctor sadly says that he could have saved her, but she wouldn't listen. Ohila says how many more people will have to die, and she begs him not to let the universe fall. He needs to decide what he wants to become. The doctor looks at Cass's bandolier and says, "A warrior. There's no more need for a doctor." Ohila hands him a goblet containing a steaming liquid. Saluting his companions and apologizing to Cass, he drinks the elixir and regenerates. When his screaming stops, Ohila asks if it is done. The warrior pulls the bandolier off of Cass's body and says, "Doctor, no more."
I just want to acknowledge right away that I love Paul McGann as the Eighth Doctor, and I'm glad he's back.
Yeah.
And when he, right before regenerating, he mentions all his companions from the Big Finish audio, and I thought that that was great to acknowledge that into canon.
Yeah.
Because Paul McGann as the Eighth Doctor, I think, has the longest run as the Doctor, but not televised.
Mhm.
So I think that's important to acknowledge what kept Doctor Who going, during what they call the dark years, or the wilderness years, I think they call them that. So he mentions Charlie Pollard, Chris, Lucy Miller, Tamsin Drew, Molly O'Sullivan. I just thought that it was, I've listened to some of those, so I think it's great that they acknowledge it in proper canon.
I think also a lot of them are from the comic books too. Not necessarily audio, but I think a lot of it is the comics, because that was what was going on forever.
But those ones I just mentioned, those are specifically from Big Finish audio.
They're not from the comics?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I looked them up and I'm like, I know Lucille, Tamsin, and I think Molly.
Could some of them been both?
It could be in both.
Anyway, it was a very cool thing.
I really wish that this was longer.
Yes.
So I feel like
Yes.
there's a very weighty decision that the doctor is making, and I wanted the drama to be extended. I wanted to really see him suffering to make this decision, but ultimately deciding it's the only way he's going to be able to get through this. And so
I
like
wanted
when
to see a whole series of this doctor.
Yeah.
well, that too.
They did
He's so good.
they did propose doing a series with Paul McGann coming back as this version of the Doctor, or this Doctor in his lifetime, but it was ultimately shot down because the original idea was that Paul McGann was going to regenerate into the Ninth Doctor, and then the Ninth Doctor was going to be the one to fight the Time War, but that's not how it played out, so they couldn't have that happen.
And I mean, up to this point, that's what everyone thought, right? It went from Tom McGann's
Paul.
Doctor to Christopher Eccleston's Doctor.
Yeah.
Right, but I thought Tom McGann did the war.
Paul
Because
McGann.
Tom McGann.
Tom
Paul
McGann's a
McGann.
TV.
Yeah, I don't know what I
shoot.
said either.
I'm sorry. No, because at the beginning of Eccleston's run, he looks in the mirror and says that he has floppy ears, and it's like he hasn't seen himself. So it seemed like it was a recent-ish generation, regeneration. So that's why it would always be McGann, who was part of the Time War.
Yes.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of. That's what everybody assumed.
But this episode really helped because it's not its own regeneration. It is one that was fabricated for him on Karn, to then be what he wanted. There was like no randomness to it. You can decide. And the reveal at the end of a young John Hurt, was great, because I don't know how well they could have done the face, but to see it in a polished reflection, any distortion is realistic, so it looked really good.
Yeah, because I remember, Josh, you were saying in an earlier episode that you can't imagine old John Hurt fighting the Time War, and then this is where we see that that's not how he started fighting. He started fighting it as a young John Hurt.
Right. I love that idea.
Yeah.
But I am curious, though, why did they need that doctor, aside from this story point that they've created? Why couldn't it have just been Paul McGann's doctor?
Well,
but they created that for this moment. If they didn't create that, why didn't they just create that he was the doctor that fought the Time War?
Because that doctor wasn't willing to fight the Time War.
Yeah, that doctor is more of a pacifist.
But they never did they establish that before this short? Like they created this short for the regeneration into but they didn't have to do that.
Right.
Why didn't they just make it Paul McGann if everybody liked Paul McGann?
I get what you're saying, but remember when we went to Rose City and Christopher Eccleston was supposed to be the one in the 50th, and then he didn't, but then they came up with John Hurt. So I think that what we didn't what you're saying is that we don't have that, but I'd rather have John Hurt. I
understand. I'm not questioning your decision. I'm just saying, well, when Eccleston backed out, why didn't they just use Paul McGann's doctor?
Well, I'm just saying, it's all behind scenes. It's not story plot. So put the story plot out. Maybe they could not get Paul McGann at that time.
Yeah,
I have the
feeling
feeling
that's what it was. Got a big name, John Hurt. They put it at the very end of that season 7, and said, "Oh, good, we have this." And then it's like, we need to fill it in. We can get McGann. Oh no. Okay, what are we going to do? It's like, well, we have to. If we can get him, we have to use it. And so they made that transition.
But
I think it was just a production way of doing it. Either they couldn't get it, they just didn't think of it, because they said we got to get a big name that would be awesome to fill in for Eccleston. I mean, come on.
Also, we're looking at this from McGann being this great doctor that everybody loves. He's probably the least known to
public.
So it's like, if you can, so it's like, oh, maybe we could have it be McGann, but is anybody really going to care?
Yeah, that name.
The diehards.
Yeah, it's like a
So they want to hit a larger audience.
And remember who's running the show at the time. Remember who's running the show at the time and wants the spin, you think you know what's going on, we're changing that. So we're putting in a whole nother doctor that you didn't know about.
Right.
I mean, the total answer to your question, Josh, or to your analysis, Josh, is because it's Stephen Moffat.
Yeah.
There's no logical.
I just hope that they do like a retcon season of like those years.
Yeah, it would have been great to do another TV movie with Paul McGann.
Right. Yeah, he just goes in the movie.
Expanding on this episode to go, why do people hate the Time Lords? How long has the war been going on? How is it affecting the universe?
Well,
and
that's
then
all
it's going down to the planet.
That's done all in the Big Finish audio dramas.
I have to listen to that.
That's one medium.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I would like that.
Nice.
I would like that as a TV episode or something as well, but
but I think it's perfect because then Paul McGann has another movie, so it's like he's the movie doctor.
Yeah.
And they kept the secret really well because I think Frank would probably remember my scream when Paul McGann showed up. I mean, seriously, I screamed. And when Eugene was reading the paragraph, I almost screamed again. It was the most wonderful thing to see. And then it was like, they're tying him in. There was actually even a debate up till that point that was McGann even really canon? Because McGann was half human, and we don't like the half human doctor.
And in America.
Well, because you don't only have Paul McGann, you have Colin Baker, Peter Davison, and Sylvester McCoy. Well, Tom Baker as well. And the other three, minus Tom Baker, were like, are we going to be invited to this?
Yeah.
And then they didn't even know that Paul McGann had to keep it a secret from them.
And they had a little meeting with Paul McGann, which we'll see later.
Who did?
The three actors. So the four actors, the previous doctors and Paul McGann, like were in a room together. And Paul McGann knew everything that was going on and the other three didn't. And he couldn't say anything. That's how well they kept the secret. I don't think they had filmed it yet. But
yeah, I don't
when
think
they
so.
filmed the four actors meeting in a room, Paul McGann did know that he was playing the Doctor again, and he was listening to the other three doctors going, are we even going to be invited? Has anybody been invited? Oh, no, nobody has.
Well, but back to this particular short. So one thing I don't know if I'm just a little lost about is, towards halfway through and towards the middle of it, even though it's so short, he was interacting with the other character as if he had known her for a long time.
He knows the Sisterhood of Karn.
No, the pilot, the woman, Cass. Like the way he was talking about her and to her was as if he was his longtime companion that he can't let this happen to. And I'm sitting again here watching it, being like, "Am I missing something? Is there some history?" Because I thought when he got on, she didn't know who he was, and it was just
I didn't get that feeling at all.
Well, yeah, just the way he was responding to how upset he got. It was as if it was someone of some import to his life.
Yeah, she was an ordinary.
Yeah, but it seemed there was a familiarity that I sensed that had the weight of, I've spent 2 seasons with this companion. I can't let her die. Because it's not like I didn't like it. It just it confused me.
But from what I got of that episode, at the beginning they did not know each other, and he's like, no, it's being inside, I'll save you, and I'm the doctor, I save people, that's what I do. And her reaction slapped him in the face, hit him in the gut. It's like, you're the same as a Dalek, and the only joy I'm going to have from dying is knowing that you die with me. And that to him, I think, was just a shocker, because he looked worn. He looked like he's been through some stuff, and he's like, I'm not part of that battle. I'm one of the good guys. I'm not a Time Lord that is part of this battle that's destroying the universe. So I think all that's weighing on him, and he couldn't save this one person because now she sees him and the war as so evil, she's willing to die rather than be saved by the devil. And so he lost an innocent. And that's what I think he was getting to, going,
so
she
it
was a good person,
like,
and I couldn't even save her because she doesn't want to be saved by all this. The war really is affecting. And Karn, the Sisterhood of Karn, you said there's no escaping the time war, and he's seeing that with her dying. It's affecting so much more, and this is his tipping point. That's why I think she's important, is because she's just an innocent who he could have saved in normal circumstances. But this is a tipping point. He cannot escape it anymore. He has to choose a side. He has to either fight with the Daleks or with the Time Lords. It's like, you can't sit on the fence. You can't be outside this anymore.
So she was actually more his dilemma was more, she was a symbol of what he was trying to do with his life.
That's what I see. Yes.
And I think it's more simple that was Paul McGann's choice to do that familiarity, because I didn't pick up on what you're talking about.
Oh.
Well,
Josh and I also see things that aren't there, but it's like, that's always so fun with talking with Josh. It's like, oh, I didn't see that.
Because I always focus on the way that they shorthand, because it is, this is so short. They really shorthand that she immediately passes his companion test. She's got a brain, she's brave. It's like, where's everybody else? They beamed off, I beamed them off because they were all screaming. And he turns to her and says, welcome aboard. And that's his shorthand. He's already accepted her as a companion. She's going to travel with him in the TARDIS, and they're going to have a great relationship. And so that, I think, creates the familiarity. That's, I think, why McGann said she's in his brain is like, the doctor already thinks she's a companion and smart, and she'll be able to handle my quirkiness. So,
it's also super awkward, in my opinion, because
the welcome aboard.
No, well, even before that, she says, "I don't want a doctor." And Paul McGann shows up, and it's like, well, the doctor's here, but it may not be the one you're thinking of. But she literally just said, I don't want one. Don't send me one.
Mhm.
And he's like, it's almost as if this were a comedy, he'd be like, oh, people don't usually say that. Like,
That was a line extremely to the fans. I mean, that wasn't being said to cast. That was being said to the fans.
I guess, but it didn't work for me because
Oh.
literally she had just said, I don't want a doctor. And then he was like, here's your doctor. And I was like, oh, that's awkward. She didn't ask for you. Like, but it's almost like he assumes like, oh, beep's hitting the fan. Here I am. Now I know I'm highly exaggerating that, but that was what I thought when he answered, I don't want a doctor, that way. I was like, okay, you're not wanted here. And then instantly she was like, you're not wanted here. And I was like, oh, I was right.
I think that line is also kind of the Stephen Moffat, like teeing up,
Oh yeah.
we don't need a doctor anymore. Like,
Mhm.
we needed the coming up the warrior. But yes, like that was very much like he was coming in there and trying to really take over and direct, like, okay, now I'm going to save you. You're going to come with me. And I think she also kind of proves her own companion worthiness by like figuring out he's a Time Lord and then deadlocking him, on the other side of that door right away.
Yeah, knowing
Yeah,
that the deadlock will work.
Mm-hmm.
It was very effective way of communicating to the audience how bad the Time Lords had gotten in this war, in a much more effective way as like the other webisode that they made, where Brian or Frank even had the point of like, I think we were, with the chip implant, that was to show how bad the Time Lords, how arrogant they had gotten and how desperate they had gotten and how now they're just as bad as the Daleks. But like none of us really got that.
The doctor also seems to be figuring that out, not just the audience.
Mm.
Not figuring it out, he knows, but like
Accepting it.
this was the first time someone had really pulled out, that I've seen someone really pull the rug out from under him like that.
Yeah.
And I think, if again going back to my first comment, like everything happens so fast because it's a short, I would love to see a longer fleshed out version of this whole experience.
I agree. Yeah.
I think it would have really hit harder emotionally.
But he does pick up her mantle of being a warrior.
Yeah, that was neat.
Which is,
I liked that.
Yeah, I like how they
where he gets his
that.
some of his costume or his, yeah.
The bandolier.
He literally picks up the mantle. Right. Yeah.
Bandolier, which is like the
Yep.
least thing you would ever expect a
doctor to carry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Paul McGann said that this is his favorite costume of his doctor, because it's gone through the one we saw, the Wild Bill Hickok one in the TV movie, and then there's one that's very like a transitional phase between Christopher Eccleston and him with the leather like U-boat captain coat.
Right.
Yeah.
And then this one, I like this one a lot because it keeps the green, but it has those high boots. I don't know. I just really like it.
We see his feet.
Yeah. What?
There are points. Yeah.
Maybe a wide shot. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I have a toy of it. That's how much I like it. So I know he has boots. This costume was designed by Howard Burden, and yeah, he
I
took
do love the costume.
Yeah, he took inspiration from the TV movie and just kind of updated it, he said.
Yeah, and it does kind of look that way. You get okay, this doctor's been through hell, but is still the same character somewhere, It's like he has gone through hell for years, so his costume is still the same doctor's costume, just beaten up.
And we get the Sisterhood of Karn back.
Yeah. Am I supposed to recognize them?
Yeah, all the way back from the Fourth Doctor with the Brain of Morbius.
Yeah, these women are Gallifreans who left Gallifrey because they wanted to do their own study of time and power and all that kind of stuff, which is why that's why they instantly have all that stuff to control regeneration.
Yeah, all the potions
and stuff, because that's what they did. Now, I didn't know who the Sisterhood of Karn was when I saw this episode. I never heard of them. But I did think that they're like, sisters, we knew he'd come back. So I was immediately like, okay, this is a race that we've seen before, but I don't know who it is. And at that point, it was just like, I went along with it.
No, this one is better than some of what Moffat has done or will do, where you don't really need to know that they've appeared with Tom Baker. They just work in the world. And I feel like he did the research to make them work, where stuff like Alpha Centauri I don't care about.
Oh dear God, that was stupid. Sorry, you guys will see. And I thought the actress was great.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Well, both of them were, but I recognized the older woman, the Sister of Karn, but
that was the one I was talking about too. Yeah, but you're right, they're both good.
Yeah, Ohelia. She's played by Claire Higgins, and we will see her in future episodes. She plays Ankara in Into the Badlands. She's a working actress because she's been in stuff like Downton Abbey, Being Human. But I most know her from Hellraiser 1 and 2 as Julia. I mean, she's very featured in those two movies. So I was like, she's very familiar.
I totally recognized her.
And I think it was because she did such a good job and the fans really received her well that the character continued on Doctor Who. I'm sure this was just a one-time off thing.
Yeah, and then the other one,
shoehorn her in later.
And the other one, Cass, the pilot or the soldier, is played by Emma Campbell Jones, and we've previously seen her. And I mentioned this in The Wedding of River Song. She played Dr. Kent. She was one of the scientists with the white lab coat in, I think, is it a unit headquarters inside the pyramids, where she has the lab coat and the eye patch because they're trying to defeat the Silence. And I was like, we're going to see her again, and this is where we see her again.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't recognize her, but yeah.
I mean, other than saying I like this thing, I don't know what else to say.
Well, it was just great. Go on, no, you go, Brian.
I do like that in this short amount of time, they really do give the Doctor a character.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very Moffat-esque Doctor, but it's fine. It's McGann. He knows how to do it. But there's one thing where she says, "Your life, we can only bring you back for 4 minutes," and he quips, 4 minutes. You can do so much in 4 minutes. We can do this, bring me knitting, and it's like that. Moffat's done that previously with
the 11th, right?
With the 11th, when he's like, what can you do in 20 minutes? And he's like, there's a type of bug that only lives for 20 minutes, and they're not even monogamous. So it's a very Moffat-esque kind of thing, but it works for this Doctor, and it's a quick little. You understand what his character is.
And it's also saying that this is the same Doctor before it changes.
Yeah.
I was going to say it was just awesome. Like, it was just a great little episode, and I just wanted so much more. And it's funny, like, I would say this is good for a new Who viewer. Like, it was just if like, what is even the vibe of this show? Like, show them this, even though there's a big spoiler in it. It's just I think it's so taken so out of context, you wouldn't even remember it, like, and make sense of that part of it. But I guess it's a testament or whatever to Paul McGann, and it didn't feel like he was putting on a new costume and being this Doctor for the first time. Like, even though all the Doctors that are great, that we feel great, are great, they kind of have to wean themselves into the part, and it makes sense because they're becoming a new person. This felt like a complete person. And now knowing the history of Big Finish, of course it did. He probably pictured himself in this outfit for years. Like this was just another. Now he gets to be on camera doing what he's been doing for 8 years or however long he'd been doing.
Right.
But like it was just so great.
Yeah, I agree.
They can like use the Big Finish recording and animate to it. Like, let's hope they do that.
That'd be cool. Much like what the Doctor is presented here with options for his regeneration, I looked this up, and in the War Games with the Second Doctor is also presented with options for his new incarnation. So I thought that was cool, that this wasn't the first time that had happened.
Was he really presented with options, or were they just like, you're being punished? You may think you have control, you don't.
Romana did.
Romana did, yeah.
Romana had control.
Romana's the big one. Romana actually regenerated 4 times and then decided which one she liked.
Right.
Yeah, after a season of having one particular actress, then she just changes.
So yeah, it's 3 or 4.
This actually watching it last night, I have my own little headcanon now, in that a lot of people comment on how regeneration doesn't look now in the modern show. Regeneration doesn't look the same as it did in the classic show, and that the classic show regeneration was always different. And ever since they started the new classic show, it's this big bombastic light fireworks thing, and that's happened with every single Doctor. In my head canon now, it's because of that elixir. He drinks the elixir and he still has his regenerations. They bring him back, but from that moment on, his regenerations are kind of locked in like that kind of a style. So the elixir gives him the big fireworks light show, and from then on, that's just how he regenerates. So that's my own little headcanon that I do.
And do fans sort of think like too, like, does this sort of also answer like this elixir may have affected things that he isn't limited to his regenerations anymore? Is that one of the possible reasons why?
I think that'll happen later, right?
It's not
Brian?
it's not from the elixir.
Yeah, we'll get that later.
We do.
Yes.
I don't recall.
Yes,
I don't recall.
But that's interesting that you bring it up though, because introducing the War Doctor as a regeneration threw all the number of regenerations off.
Right.
So
that I get.
Yeah, and also because Tennant did a half regeneration, that you suddenly you were now counting it as Matt Smith was the final regeneration of the Doctor, and he couldn't regenerate anymore.
Right.
So they had to deal with that.
And where
so
does
then
that come from again? Where that
just
number
early
of
on in the
regeneration?
lore of the show.
Early
they
on
get
when they
12
couldn't have imagined the show going that long.
Yeah, Gallifreyans get 12 regenerations, which is very arbitrary.
I think clock time.
Yeah, it's probably why, goes around a clock.
the only other person in this, well, we have people in the background, but John Hurt comes back. We saw him briefly in.
Yeah.
We saw him
Is it
briefly.
John Hurt?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
It's actually from a BBC show.
Oh, that's what I was about to ask. Is what is that footage of him from? What was that show?
I'm looking it up.
Paul McGann doubled as John Hurt in that moment.
But the
Was he
reflection.
there?
Well, he also ADRs.
Yeah, that was
the
his
line.
voice.
That was his line.
I'm looking it up.
Although that's the one
Yeah.
thing I felt like watching it, just for this, he sounds like a 70-something-year-old John Hurt. He doesn't sound like the John Hurt that we see in the reflection.
Yeah.
He just regenerated. He was a bit,
Sure, he needed a
Simply.
lozenge. He needed a time lozenge.
It's like
That's the
drinking milk in the
result.
morning.
It's part of
What's
the
that,
results
Wilbur?
of drinking the potion to regenerate.
It
you have a sore
Burn
throat.
the
Yeah.
throat.
I read it last night. I'm getting annoyed that I can't find it because it's actually a show that I hadn't.
That we do.
I was thinking it was like maybe it's from I Claudius or something
It
like
could
that.
be. It
But
could
it's
be.
not
Yeah.
I Claudius. It was a show
Oh.
that I'd never heard of.
Well, he looked like a hobbit.
Yeah.
Right.
He's such a skinny little fella.
Well, he was Aragorn in the cartoon.
You see him in the reflection, and you think like that guy's gonna fight in a war. Guess they're gonna lose.
I'm not able to find it though, Brian.
Yeah, I can't.
We need a warrior, John Hurt, young John Hurt. What?
I'm sorry, it's John Hurt. When you see John Hurt, I'm gonna get the hell out of his way.
I know. I'm just.
He's
saying.
gonna kick my ass.
It also says Hurt in his name.
That's
Right.
right. Well, there you go.
He's bringing the pain.
It's predestined, like a dentist with the last name of Smiley.
Wait, those are out there?
Or Drillman.
Right.
Else here
That
that we
guy
haven't
Hurt's his
covered.
middle name. Actually, it's his last name.
It's funny, I didn't get that reaction at all. It was like it was perfect for me that the War Doctor was John Hurt.
It just.
Yeah, I never thought of it as like he's wimpy
Young John Hurt, though?
or too old.
Well, going back to John Hurt as a credited actor, he is Winston Smith in 1984, Aragorn in Bakshi's The Lord of the Rings, Hazel in
I didn't know that.
Watership Down, John Merrick in The Elephant Man, the storyteller in Jim Henson's The Storyteller, and Kane in Alien, the memorable scene of Alien. And then the memorable scene in Spaceballs, playing the same
Oh,
character.
that's right. That's right.
Not again.
Not again.
And Equilibrium, I think.
Yeah, he plays the same type of 1984. Or he's playing now Big Brother in Equilibrium that he was fighting in 1984.
Was Equilibrium the one with Christian Bale?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Diggs. Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
yes.
God, he's got 211 feature credits.
Yeah, he's been in a lot.
Jeez, Lou.
Yeah.
He's so good.
I don't remember him in it, but he was probably in Excalibur as well.
No,
I
but he
betcha.
wasn't in A Man for All Seasons.
Okay, well, whatever.
He's in the movie Snowpiercer, not
Yes, he is.
not the series.
Oh, is it? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so from cultbox.co.uk, the distorted reflection of the War Doctor's face seen in the final moments is taken from the BBC's 1979 adaptation of Dostoevsky's novel Crime and Punishment. John Hurt played Rodion. I shouldn't have gone this far.
Raskolnikov.
Rex Kolnikov, yeah.
Yes, in the series.
Oh, he'd be good.
Wow, that was right after Alien and Lord of the Rings and right before The Elephant Man. That's crazy.
So 1979, Crime and Punishment.
There's a story that'll want to make you take your own life.
The Night of the Doctor and The Last Day are both available on the Blu-ray DVD, and they're also both available on YouTube at BBC's official YouTube channel. It's funny, yeah, they're when I watch them, I'm like, oh, this is officially posted on YouTube. as
Right,
opposed
yeah, it's
to-
not a bootleg or
Yeah.
anything.
So that wraps up The Last Day and The Night of the Doctor. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll see you next time when the future becomes the present.
You've just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook at The Universe Explodes.
All our episodes are engineered by Allburn.
You can find him at albert.binkley.com.
You can also find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/whoknewpodcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
Visit our Facebook page.
Please leave comments, reviews, and click like to help support Who Knew Podcast.
To listen to our show on your Amazon Echo device, enable the AnyPod podcast skill. Ask AnyPod to play the Who Knew podcast.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who.
The longest running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival, spearheaded by Russell T. Davis,
Thanks to Russell,
Sydney Newman.
Verity Lambert.
Ron Grainer.
Delia Derbyshire.
And all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
your work continues to inspire and entertain.
Next
Just
to...
give me 1 sec for a quick pee break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Line on the
Oh,
side.
that sounds good.
Okay, I'll do that too then.
Fine, take 5. Not 6, not 7.
Oh, that's funny how he's still. Did you see that when Eugene got up and went to the door? He was still in focus.
No, I just see his
Yeah,
captain.
that was creepy. Oh, it's just us. I'm gonna
It
go out
is.
there.
I can get a drink.
I win.
No, I won. You're runner up.